Hey everybody, Drew here. In this video, I'm going to show you a much cheaper and more cost-effective way to open up the world of speaker cabinet impulse responses with your tube amp. So let's dive right into this. I'm sure by now you guys have probably heard of products like the Universal Audio Aux Box, the Shure Reactive Load, or maybe even the Two Notes Torpedo Live units. There's a variety of units that they make as well. But let's be honest, those are all pretty expensive, and I have actually found a solution for a lot cheaper that I want to show you guys. So, for example, the Aux Box costs like $1,000 on the used market. The Shure Reactive Load, those are still right around $500, and then the Two Notes Torpedo Live stuff is anywhere between $400 and $1,000. But you can buy one of these old attenuators. I think these came out in maybe the 90s or the early 2000s. You can buy these for like $150 to $250, and they work almost the same way, especially if you're going to load speaker cabinet IRs using an IR loader in your DAW. So let me talk about that a little bit. The attenuator that I have here is called the Weber Mass 200. It can handle up to 200 watts of power. So if you're going to do this, I would recommend getting an attenuator that can handle the wattage that your amplifier can put out. How this works is you essentially plug in your speaker cable coming from your amplifier into the attenuator and then out from the attenuator into your speaker cabinet. So you definitely want to be connected to a speaker when you're using this thing, because you could blow up the attenuator or you could even damage your amp. Another thing you want to make sure is whatever attenuator that you do buy, you need to make sure it has a line out on it. But what that's going to do is give you a line level output that you can plug into your audio interface that you can then add speaker cabinet impulse responses on top of that. I mean, this is probably an old trick by now, especially in the world of YouTube, but it's new to me because only recently did I discover on my Mesa Boogie JP2C that there is an output that is not impacted by a speaker simulation. So for example, on the JP2C, there's this thing called Cab Clone DI, which is essentially like an XLR output. But with the Cab Clone DI on this amp, I only have 3 different speaker cabinet options. I have closed back, open back, and vintage. And they all sound great, but I want to use my speaker cabinet library, my tone mission stuff, my own hammer stuff, and everything else. So the attenuator allows you to do that. And I'm making this video because I'm sure a lot of you guys out there probably have older tube amps that you'd love to record with, but they're probably so dang loud that you can't mic up a speaker cabinet at your house. So if you get this attenuator, this Weber Mass 200 or something similar, you can dial the amp down all the way down to almost nothing. Okay, and at a speaking volume, you can crank your amp to get that juicy tone that we all love from a cranked amplifier. You can then send that line level output from your attenuator into your interface and choose whatever speaker cabinet impulse responses that you love to record with. And this is a great way to get different tones, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know. The speaker cabinet is probably the biggest thing that changes your tone, in my personal opinion. One of the other things that I've noticed in the amplifier market is that amp builders are actually putting IR loaders directly on the back of their amps. I think the first company that I noticed this with was Rev with their G20 amplifiers, and now the G120, the Generator 120 amp, has that same technology. But there are other companies that are getting on board, including Mesa Boogie. So if you guys have heard of the Mesa Boogie Badlander, that amp and all the amps in that series has an IR loader built into it. For some reason, they didn't do that with the JP2C, probably because this amp was designed in the the 2015s, and then it came out in 2018, I think is when this amp went to market. Maybe 2017. You guys can let me know in the comments below. But there are a couple other options for you guys if you want an amplifier with a built-in IR loader. The Shure PT15IR, the Pete Thorne model, has an IR loader in it. The Engel Ironball SE amp has an IR loader. The Rev G20 And then, like I mentioned before, the Mesa Boogie Badlander series. Those are all amps that have IR loaders. But if you don't have that, if you have an old amplifier, tube amp that you want to use laying around your house and you want to hear what it sounds like cranked up, get yourself one of these attenuators for $150 or $250. You know, the price of an effects pedal, and you can start recording with your tube amp. All right, guys, enough jibber jabber. Let's do a little bit of an experiment with this. I am going to record this Mesa Boogie JP2C 3 different ways. We're gonna record with the Weber Mass 200. We're gonna compare that to the slave output in the back of the Mesa Boogie JP2C. We're also gonna compare that with the Mesa Boogie Cab Clone DI. And in the comments below, you guys can let me know which way that you would record your tube amp, or which one you think sounds the best here. So let's dive right into that right now. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this video on how to use speaker cabinet IRs with your tube amp with this handy little device called an attenuator. I hope you got something valuable out of this video. If you like what I do on this channel, I do a lot of guitar reviews, pedal demos. Everything I do is kind of geared towards the heavy metal sphere of things. If you like that stuff, please subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to this channel, and you'll be notified every time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day wherever you're at in the world. Take care.